Motion elements. what's your name?
My name is Marcia.
Hi, Marcia. I almost erased you. I was going to draw a car.
I love cars.
You do? But you're a...
A girl? Whoever made the rule that girls can't like cars?
Well, I don't know.
I want to be a racing driver.
A racing driver? Well, we can make that happen.
Blonde Bullet, a comic book about a young woman trying to get started in racing. Now available on Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
The day has finally arrived. June 13th, 2020, the first race of the eFormulaSeries. Right here on Blip Shift Broadcasting, my name is Mark, and I bid you welcome to our first race of a first season of the new Formula Renault 3.5 league called eFormulaSeries. A lot of work has been going into this, so let's take a look at the venue where we are at.
Welcome to Birmingham, Alabama, home of the Barber Motorsports Park. Barber Motorsports Park is an 880-acre multi-purpose racing facility located in Birmingham, Alabama. It was built by Alabama native George W. Barber, and includes the 230,000 square foot Barber Vintage Motorsport Museum. The track is a 2.38 mile, or 3.83 kilometers, long road course with 16 turns. It is 45 feet wide, and has 80 feet of elevation changes. The pit lane is to the outside of the track, parallel to the front stretch. The pit wall is on the driver's left. The track does not have permanent grandstands. The main spectator area is along the back stretch, between turns 8 and 11. Here, spectators can watch from embankments, or from temporary grandstands erected for race weekends. Today, the newly formed eFormulaSeries opens its first season with the Formula Renault 3.5 at Barber Motorsports Park. 26 drivers can qualify for the race, which will be 44 laps and should last about 55 minutes. Welcome to eFormulaSeries. Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park.
You are looking at Fabio Docarmo. He is currently in first position. We have just started qualifying. We still have 11 minutes to go to determine the grid positions for this first race of the eFormulaSeries. Brought to you by the Blonde Bullet Motorsports comic book and Simrigs. And it looks like Lubomir Moric has taken over the provisional pole position with a lap time of 1:10.131. There he is. And in third place we have Javier Alvarez. Fourth place is currently Denny Hoekstra. Fifth place Patrick Letouvet. And sixth is Roland Johns. Atish Debishing currently in seventh position. And Bimar Ludovic just jumped into eighth position there. Gregoire Richette in 9th, Kevin Justino in 10th, Manuel Domingo in 11th, and Ronaldo Augusto in 12th. And we have Dave Guild, Kevin Shine, James Mallow, and Peter Den Otter are still working on posting their first time. 10 minutes to go in the 15-minute open qualifying session. Let's take a look at our drivers. Ronaldo Augusto in the number 89 car. In the number 2 car. Kevin Justino in the number 89 car. That's the one I was looking for. He is currently running in 12th position in qualifying with an 1:18.340. And up at the top, it's Fabio Docarmo that's taken back the provisional pole with a blasting lap of 1:09.950. Unbelievably fast. It looks like he is only followed by 1/10 of a second, almost 2/10 of a second, by this man, Lubomir Moric. And then it's Denny Hoekstra in the third position with a 1:10.489, only 4/10 of a second slower. Just being jumped over by Manuel Domingo in the number 9 car, Carbono Racing. So the eFormulaSeries is a brand new championship focusing on the Formula Renault 3.5 car. Obviously there will be an individual drivers championship that they are running for, and then there is also a team championship in which 2 drivers per team can score points and claim the team championship. And for those who prefer to run by themselves as privateers, there will also be a prize for the best privateer in this league. We will be competing in 8 races in total for the first season, and the venues that we're... and Domingo is making a mistake there. The venues that we will be racing at are basically linked to the official iRacing schedule on their even weeks. So this race is really a week, been pulled a week early, and that has to do with the fact that iRacing is doing the 24 Hours of Le Mans next weekend, and plenty of drivers would be given the opportunity to drive there. So after this race, although we do normally race every other week, after this race we will have 2 weeks off before we go to round number 2. So back up at the standings, it's now Lubomir Moric that has taken the provisional pole, only 0.049 thousandths of a second quicker than Docarmo. So up at the front, it is very, very close. Manuel Domingo, only 2/10 of a second behind him. Then in 4th place, we have Javier Alvarez. In 5th place, it's Denny Hoekstra. Ooh, and we just caught him at a bad moment there, didn't we? 6th place for Patrick Letouvet. Coming into the pits, James Mallow. Leaving the pits as we speak, currently in 7th. Bimar Ludovic is in 8th. Roland Johns is in 9th. And Ronaldo Augusto currently in 10th position. Little over 6.5 minutes left to go in qualifying until we kick off our first season our first race here at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama. 16 drivers have showed up for this first race. We have more entries, but obviously people have sometimes have other priorities or things in their life that they can't make it, but pretty good field, 16 cars, not bad at all. Dave Guild and Peter den Otter still have to post a time. There is Dave Guild. He is teammate to the 11th position driver Kevin Shine. And Peter den Otter is in the pits currently getting fresh rubber on that car. I will say he's got a beautiful livery on that machine. And he is going out once again to try and post a lap time to get qualified for this race. 26 drivers in total can qualify. And the league has the rule of allowing 32 drivers into qualifying. If there are that many, that would mean that not all of them would participate in the race. 26 drivers maximum can qualify. Let's take a look here at Danny Hoekstra in the Tulip Racing machine. Looks like he's had enough for one lap here. He is currently in 5th position. A 1:10.458 was his best lap, and he is only 0.04 of a second behind the guy in front of him, which would be this guy, Javier Alvarez. Pit lane, 3 cars waiting to go out. Fabio Do Carmo put himself back on the provisional pole again with a 1:09.770, only 0.13 of a second quicker than Lubomir Moric. This is probably going to be a pretty close race up at the front if I look at these lap times here. So the guys, all the drivers will be forced to take a pit stop in this race because eFormulaSeries has decided to run on 50% fuel. The fuel capacity of the car is 110 liters, so we are only taking 55 liters of fuel. So let's take a real quick look at the car itself. The Formula Renault 3.5. Here's a little introduction of the car.
Arriving onto the motor racing landscape in 2005, the Formula Renault 3.5 series quickly became the ideal pre-F1 development category thanks to a competition-price ratio that had no equal. Over 11 seasons, the category took many talented drivers to the highest level of the sport. From 2008, the Formula Renault 3.5 has a V8 engine with 3.5-litre displacement, producing around 500 horsepower. It has a 6-gear paddle-shift transmission and weighs only 623 kilograms, 1,373 pounds. Fuel capacity is 110 litres. The overall length of the car is 5 meters and 7 centimeters. It is fair to say that the car is a lightweight, high downforce and high-powered open-wheel race car that prepares drivers for the top in open-wheel racing. It requires lightning-fast responses, a lot of talent and utmost concentration. The Formula Renault 3.5 is the car of choice for the new eFormulaSeries, in order to create a high-level, challenging championship on iRacing. In 8 challenging races, a champion will be crowned.
And we're back in qualifying. Less than 2 minutes to go for qualifying. Fabio Do Carmo still has the provisional pole position here. It looks like the deck is becoming is pretty much shuffled for the grid. It looks like Fabio Do Carmo will be starting from the pole position. Manuel Domingo has pushed himself up to the second position, with Lubomir Moric now in third. Javier Alvarez in fourth, Danny Hoekstra in fifth. Le Touvet is on sixth position, Augusta in seventh. Eighth will be James Mallow, ninth will be Bimar Ludovic, and Roland Johns is in 10th. There is Roland, working hard on trying to improve his position. We have about a minute of qualifying left to go, and then we will be gridding up for the first race of the eFormulaSeries, the new league featuring the Formula Renault 3.5. I can tell you from some of my own experience, this is definitely not an easy car to drive. It really requires lightning fast responses. It really requires utmost concentration. And, without some good racing experience in open wheel cars, this is a tough thing to drive, I can tell you. Take a look at the number 40 here, Kevin T. Shine. He is currently running 11th on the grid, right in front of his teammate Dave Guild. 13th position now for Atish Dabising. And it looks like Gregor Richet has put it on 14th. Kevin Justino is on 15th position. And Peter Den Otter has not posted a lap time in qualifying just yet. Some drivers are still on a timed lap. They'll get a little bit of extra time to finish that lap. Fabio Do Carmo still going at it. And it looks like he is fairly safe in pole position here. He is 0.029 thousandth of a second quicker than the second place driver, Manuel Domingo. And he is still on a timed lap, so he might actually have a little chance to gain back that position, and he does so. He takes the pole position away from Do Carmo with a 109.612. Unbelievable. Very, very good. Fast laps. Checkered flag is out, so people can finish the lap they're on. It will be the time they post in their final lap will count. Manuel Domingo on pole position, Fabio Do Carmo alongside in second position, and then it will be Lubomir Moric in third, Javier Alvarez in fourth, Hoekstra is in fifth, sixth is Reinaldo Augusto, seventh is Patrick Le Touvet, eighth is Dave Guild. He jumped up quite a bit there. He was closer to Kevin just last time we checked. Ninth is James Mallow, Bimar Ludovic in 10th. 11th is Roland Johns, Kevin T. Shine is in 12th, Atish Dabishing 13th, Grégoire Richet 14th, 15th is Kevin Justino, and Peter Den Otter has qualified in 16th position without posting a lap time. We are expecting a very, very exciting race. Qualifying has ended, and we are awaiting guys to grid. And as you can tell, they are starting to grid up for this race. It'll be a standing start like in open wheel racing, in European style open wheel racing is customary. Looking at the grid here, cars are getting ready to go. We're still waiting for a few drivers. Manuel Domingo on pole position. Fabio Do Carmo alongside him. And then the second row should be Moritz and Alvarez. The third row, Hoekstra and Augusto. The fourth row is Letouvet and Gild. And there we go. And it looks like some drivers elected to start from the pit. It's Domingo in front, going through the first turn there. See if everything works all right. It looks like everybody got through. Domingo in first position, Lubomir Moritz in second, Fabio Do Carmo in third, fourth is Danny Hoekstra. For some reason it looked to me like they were starting from the pits, but they didn't. And we have an incident in the fifth turn. Let's see if we can get back here what happened real quick. That looks like Lubomir Moritz. Let's turn it back just a little bit more and see what happens here into the fifth turn. He just brakes later than the guy in front of him, taps him on the rear end. It looks like both drivers can continue their race, but obviously they've lost quite a bit of time. Meanwhile, up in the front, it's Manuel Domingo pulling away with 1.5 seconds over Danny Hoekstra. Danny in second place, leading the pack there with Reinaldo Augusta in third, with Patrick Letouvet in fourth, Dave Gild in fifth. Alvarez is in sixth position here. Domingo is pulling away a little bit. And that was an unfortunate incident for Moritz and Carmo. They've dropped back to 11th and to 10th and 11th. 11th and 12th, I should say. One lap completed. Danny Hoekstra in second place, Reinaldo Augusta following him in third, Letouvet in fourth, and it looks like Alvarez is right on the tail of Letouvet there. Well, it looked closer to me than it was. It's Augusta actually following Hoekstra. There we go. And it's Roland Johns following James Mallow with 6th and 7th position there. Moritz already up to 9th position and passing Ludovic as we speak. Ooh, that looked like it could almost go wrong, but it didn't. That's a tricky turn there. Because of the elevation changes, you sometimes lose a little bit of downforce because you're dropping down. Fabio Do Carmo is doing the same thing to Ludovic at this moment. On the main straightaway, he's trying to get a draft there going into the first turn. Can he make it work? No, not right now. So at the front, it's Reinaldo Augusto following Hoekstra in second, and it's still Domingo in first position. He has 1.7 second lead on Hoekstra. And it's Alvarez following Letouvet. Roland Johns following James Mallow. And Do Carmo following Ludovic. He has not been able to follow Moritz past Ludovic. He's getting close though. It looks like he's running a little bit wide there, locking up the brakes just a tad. And it looks like he might be struggling a little bit. Maybe he does have somewhat of damage. It's hard to tell. Maybe we can close that up a little bit and see if there's any damage on the rear end of the car. I don't really see any. And behind there, it's in 11th, it's Dave Gild. In front of his teammate, Kevin T. Shine. And Atish Debising is right behind Gregoire Richet, and they're battling for a 14th position. He's actually taken away that position, and it looks like Richet ran a little bit wide there. Let's see if we can see what happens exactly. He's running wide. He might be missing a gear. He's got two wheels, almost two wheels in the grass, but not quite. Manuel Domingo leading the race by 2.2 seconds now. It looks like Danny Hoekstra is more occupied with keeping Augusta behind him than he is with being able to stick with Domingo here. Augusta is only 0.3 of a second behind him, so he definitely needs to watch his mirrors. And a little bit further back, we have Patrick Letouvet following James Mallow. And Ludovic, Ludovic has had a little incident there. Let's see what happened. Oh, losing it on the throttle, coming out of that fast left-right combination, losing a couple of positions there. Unfortunate for him. Domingo still in the lead. Latuvet right behind James Mallow there, and Lubomir Moric is closing in on those guys already. As you remember, Lubomir is working his way back from an earlier incident together with the guy right behind him, which is Fabio Di Carmo. They touched on lap 1 and they're trying to work their way back up to the front. So they were down to 11th and 12th, and they're already back up to 7th and 8th position. And behind them, it's Dave Guild on his own. Roland T. Jones closing in on Kevin Shine. We have action all over the place. Moric behind Patrick Letouvet, and right behind him is Fabio Di Carmo. Fabio actually dropped back a little bit at this point, so it's Lubomir right behind Letouvet. And that's James Mallow in the purplish car there in front. Beautiful livery. And it looks like Letouvet's trying to take a look at how to get past him. Can't get it done just yet. Lubomir Moric is settling in right behind these two guys that are battling for position. And obviously when you get the third person mixed in there, things can get very interesting, because the guy in the middle is working hard to pass the guy in front, but he also has to be defensive towards the guy right behind him. It looks like Augusta is closing in on Hoekstra, still battling for second place. Only 0.2 of a second separate these guys, and then 1 second behind that is Alvarez. Fabio Di Carmo now in 5th position. And it looks like Lubomir is dropping down a little bit. He's in 7th, and Dave Guild has passed him. He's in 6th position now. And Augusta close behind Hoekstra still. Moric is now close behind Dave Guild. Something may have happened to Moric. I'm not really sure what happened there. James Mallow has taken to the pit. He might have had a moment, and it looks like Dan Otter is in the pit. Yeah, it definitely looks like he's had some damage. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here. He lost it. Let's see what happens. This is a slower car that he didn't really anticipate on passing on the inside. And unfortunate incident for the both of them. Manuel Domingo still out in front. He is 3.1 seconds ahead of Danny Hoekstra. Danny in 2nd place, still hanging on there despite the pressure he must be feeling from Reinaldo Augusta in the number 2 car. And it looks like Alvarez is kind of sticking on 1.2 seconds behind him. Maybe, patiently waiting to see what happens between those two guys. Always one strategy can be to try and profit from other people's mistakes. Fabio Di Carmo has worked his way back up to 5th position. 6th is David Guild, and he has Lubomir Moric on his tail. Bimar Ludovic is hanging on to 8th position. He had a few moments there and had to let go Di Carmo and Moric, but he's still running strong in 8th position. Kevin Shine is in 9th. Johns is in 10th, and he's got Patrick Letouvet behind him. Patrick Denotter still running. He's the last driver that has not been lapped so far, so despite not qualifying, he's hanging in there. He's holding on to his position, running a best lap time of 1:17. And let's go back up front here, because it looks like Reinaldo Augusta is still putting on that pressure on Danny Hoekstra. And Lubomir Moric, is right on Dave Gild's tail, and they're fighting for 6th and 7th position. And it looks like Moric is also turning up the pressure here for Dave Gild. Coming alongside now towards turn 1, and he's got him. He is passed. Good pass. Lubomir Moric moves up to 6th position, and then he can start going back after Fabio Do Carmo. Let's see if Dave can stick around with him here. He's making sure that Moric can see him in his mirrors there. Moric running a little bit wide. Sticking together very good. But he's not close enough to make a real threat to Moric at this point. Let's go check on Hoekstra and Augusto up at the front for 2nd and 3rd position. They're actually gaining a little bit on Domingo. The gap to the leader was over 3 seconds, and now it is down to 2.8. So it might actually be that Domingo made a slight little error somewhere. There he is, leader of the race. And let's go back to Reinaldo Augusta, right behind Hoekstra. For 2nd and 3rd position, and Alvarez is sticking with those guys very, very good. It's now 1 second, so he also gained a little bit. Oh, and Augusto having a little bit of a moment there, and immediately dropping back a little bit from Hoekstra. And that's how close and how difficult it is. You have one moment and you are losing out. You know, a 2/10 of a second in a car like this at a pace like this is nothing. Is absolutely nothing. Augusta is about a half a second behind Hoekstra now, and Alvarez has closed in to a 0.8 of a second now. So these 3 drivers are working hard to get themselves on the podium at the end of this race. We are looking currently at lap 11 of 44. And somewhere around lap 17 or 18, we should be expecting some fuel stops for the guys up front. And they are allowed, obviously, to take fresh tires. And I can tell you from some of the driving, I think some of them will need it. So Augusta is catching back up with Hoekstra. Ooh, going wildly over that curb there. Those curbs are fairly high, but they're fairly forgiving. They're not rough. Like most curbs have ribs on them. These curbs are not that bad. 2/10 of a second, he's brought down that gap to Hoekstra back down to 2/10 of a second. And it looks like Domingo has recuperated. He's now 3.6 seconds ahead of Hoekstra. So yeah, he may have had a little bit of a moment there. And let's take a look back at this group here. Hoekstra, Augusto, and Alvarez for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th positions. So basically fighting for the final 2 podium positions. And a little bit further down the field, we have Patrick Letouvet in 11th position, and he's closing in on Roland Johns. These guys are the final 2 cars on the lead lap. Unfortunately, Peter Den Otter and Gregoire Richet have dropped down. They must have had their incidents there. And as we speak, Den Otter is coming out of the pit, so yes, he must have had a little incident. Hoekstra and Augusta still going at it. Alvarez hanging with them. Meanwhile, Fabio Do Carmo is still in 5th position and trying to close in on that group of Hoekstra, Augusta, and Alvarez. Lubomir Moric is still in 6th, and he is trying to chase down Do Carmo. 7th position, a little bit further back, is Dave Gild. Bimar Ludovic hanging in there right in front of Kevin Shine. And ooh, we've got some guys. That's Letouvet passing Roland Johns. Let's see if we can see what happens here. It looks like Johns is running a little bit wide, 2 wheels in the grass, and letting Letouvet by. He really doesn't have much of a choice. So Alvarez now half a second behind Augusto. It looks like these three are kind of harmonica moving in closer together a little bit. And we have Kevin Shine going into the pits. Oh, and Dave Guild has an off here. Let's see what happened. He loses it on turn 1, takes that curb a little bit too hard. It doesn't look like he touches anything, so he gets the nose headed in the right direction and tries again. Kevin Shine going for fuel and tires on lap 13. That is fairly early, but he should be able to make it. Manuel Domingo still in the lead, completing lap 14, and he is almost 4 seconds ahead now of Danny Hoekstra, and Augusto and Javier Alvarez are still together here, battling for second, third, and fourth positions. And DeCarmo is still about 6 seconds behind these guys. It doesn't look like he's gaining all that much on him. Morich is 7 seconds behind DeCarmo, and Dave Guild has dropped a little bit further back with that spin. Obviously, he's now 18 seconds behind Morich. This is Lubomir Morich in 6th position. And let's go back up here to the battle for second. Hoekstra, Augusta, and Alvarez going at it. We have just started lap 14 of 44. So we're pretty much 1/3 of the distance of this race. Domingo now 4 seconds ahead of these three guys. And we have Letouvet and Johns seem to be closing in on Ludovic. And Ludovic is in 8th, Letouvet 9th, and Johns in 10th. They're still not close enough to each other to make anything happen at this point, and the same goes for Augusto. You know, about 6/10 of a second behind Hoekstra. Oh, and that looks like that was Kevin T. Shine that spun it around there in the corkscrew. And also lucky not to touch anything and not to slide back on the track in the racing line in front of the other guys. And it looks like he got it rolling again. Slowly but surely he's getting out of the grass there. Danny Hoekstra, 3.4 seconds now behind Domingo. Augusto right on his tail, and Alvarez 1.1 seconds behind that. And they're also going to have to be dealing with traffic coming up. You can see those cars in front of there. Those are back markers. That is Peter Den Otter. He is currently 3 laps down. Hoekstra and Augusto going past. Den Otter making way for the fast guys. He doesn't want to be the guy that takes out the guys in front. That's good sportsmanship, good race etiquette. And that means that they can just keep on going as if nothing has ever happened to them. And that's the way we like to see it. Augusto chasing down Hoekstra for second position. And it looks like Domingo, the gap that he had seems to be evaporating a little bit. It's down to 2.7 now. Still in the lead, though. Driver of the Carbono team. Beautiful livery. Starting lap 16 of 44. And as I said, it won't be that long until we see people going into the pit. On the left of your screen, you can see that some of the drivers have already pitted with other trouble. We see Augusto and Hoekstra. Ooh, and it looks like Augusto kind of misses his braking point there, going a little wide on the entry of the turn. And it looks like Alvarez, he's still hanging around that 1 second mark to stick with those guys. Doing a good job. Ludovic following Letouvet. It looks like Patrick Letouvet stole 8th position from him. And Letouvet is now getting started on chasing down Dave Guild, who is 4 seconds ahead of him. Guild had a little moment, dropped back a little bit, but held on to 7th position. Kevin Shine still hanging on to 11th position. He's shown 1 lap down from the guy in front of him. From the leaders, I apologize. He's 48 seconds behind Roland Johns in 10th. And then Peter Den Otter is soldiering on in 12th position. And it looks like we've lost 4 drivers so far. Gregoire Richet, Atish Debising, James Mallow, and Kevin Justino have left the race. Back up front, Reinaldo Augusto. As I said, we're turning lap 18 right now. We're almost at halfway point. So the drivers can decide for themselves whether they start on 55 liters of fuel or maybe take a little bit less and shorten their first stint. That is entirely up to them. This is an open setup race. The drivers do not have any fast repairs, so if you hurt your car, then you are out of luck. You'll have to deal with that damage either by taking a pit stop or by just carrying on with it. Dave Guild is very close behind Letouvet. It looks like Letouvet stole that 7th position from him, and Ludovic is right there together. These guys are battling for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Dave Guild is trying really hard not to give up here. He was passed, but he's still trying to get it back. Patrick Letouvet and Dave Guild going for 7th and 8th position, and Ludovic not too far behind. Coming up on the last few turns, finishing lap 19, or heading into lap 19, I should say. And let's check back with Hoekstra and Augusto up front, 2nd and 3rd position. They're still going at it. Augusto is not letting Hoekstra ease up at all. He's giving him a handful. And Hoekstra looks like he is hanging on to that very strongly at this point. But this is one of those situations where maybe Augusto not close enough to make a direct pass, although there he comes into turn 1, taking the inside. Hoekstra thinking the better of it. Oh, going over the grass just a little bit, side by side in the 2nd turn. And it looks like Augusto is taking the position from him. And he did so purely on the draft on the main straight. Got alongside, got it into turn 1. Hoekstra was trying to be careful, and now it's Alvarez pulling the same stunt on Hoekstra. So Hoekstra is dropping down to 4th position now. Tires may be becoming a factor here. We are at the final laps of their first stint, so tires might be an issue. So Hoekstra dropping back from 2nd to 4th position. It's now Augusto in 2nd. It's Alvarez in 3rd. Augusta in 4th. And meanwhile, Fabio Do Carmo is still in 5th, and it looks like he has gained a little bit of ground. He was 6 seconds behind, and he's now 4.5 seconds behind. And the same goes for Lubomir Moric. He was a little bit further behind, I believe, and he is now 8 seconds behind Do Carmo. And Letouvet is in 7th, and it looks like Lubovic is just passing Dave Guild here. I'm not sure what happened to Dave. Oh, he's had an issue. Let's see what happened here. See if we can figure out what's going on. It looks like, he went off track. Let's back it up a little bit further here. On the throttle, a little bit too quick, out of the hairpin there. That's turn 5. Luckily, again, Dave doesn't hit anything, and he gets the nose in the right direction and continues on. Tough luck. As I said, this is definitely not an easy car at all. Reinaldo Augusto in second position now. Alvarez in third, and unfortunately Hoekstra dropped out of the podium positions. He is in fourth position at this point. Dave Guild is now in 10th. He is the last driver that has not been lapped by the leaders, and Kevin Shine is in 11th position, and it looks like unfortunately Peter Den Otter had to quit, and yeah, he's not here anymore. So we still have 11 of the 16 drivers running. Unchallenged at this point, at the front, it's Manuel Domingo, 21 laps, on lap 22. And he is 4.9 seconds ahead of Augusto, Alvarez, and Hoekstra in that second little group. And it looks like the gaps between those drivers are growing a little bit. This is Alvarez, he's a second behind Augusto. And it looks like Hoekstra is having a little trouble keeping up with these guys. Let's see if we can detect any damage on that car. Or maybe it's just his tires wearing off. He's been running really hard for the first half of the race, so it might be time for him to get some new rubber on that car. Dave Guild running in 9th position now behind Johns. It looks like Ludovic had an incident. Let's see if we can find that real quick. Yes, there it is. It's in the corkscrew. It looks like, yeah, just kind of misses his apex completely and goes over the grass, humps around in that turn. Luckily, nobody is there. And they're going into pits at this point. We saw the leader go into the pit there as well. Domingo is in the pit lane. He will have the first pit stall. He will get fuel and tires. And Fabio Di Carmo is doing the same thing. It's Ludovic leaving the pits, Di Carmo leaving the pits. So that brings this guy in the lead, Reinaldo Augusto, hubbing the curbs there a little bit. So let's see and stay with him here and see if he's going into the pits right now. So we're talking lap 23 of 44. We're pretty much mid-race. That would be the moment of getting new rubber and fueling up to ensure you can make it to the end. There might be a few guys that run a little bit longer if their tires can make it work. And it looks like Alvarez and Hoekstra are not pitting just yet. Let's see if we can find Hoekstra. Nope, there he is. He's dropped a little bit further back. He's 8.7 seconds behind Alvarez now. He may have had an incident. So Domingo is pitting and Di Carmo has pitted. I'm sorry, Domingo and Di Carmo have pitted. They are now running 5th and 6th. And obviously the other guys in front of him still have to pit, so that would restore the running order. Augusto now in the lead, 1.5 seconds ahead of Javier Alvarez. Danny Hoekstra in third, now 9.1. It looks like he's losing out on the pace a little bit, and I can't help but wonder if it's time for him to get some new rubber. But he might be on a fuel strategy trying to save as much fuel as he can so he has a lighter load on his new tires in the second stint. I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out. At this point, it looks to me like he's not gaining anything by that strategy. He's lost about 9 seconds to Alvarez. Another driver in the pits there. Kevin Shine in 10th position. Letouvet in 8th. And this is Dave Guild in 7th. And our former leader, Manuel Domingo, is running in 5th position at this point. He has already pitted. He's got new rubber. He's got fuel. His last lap was a 1:12 as opposed to his best lap of a 1:10. So he's obviously a little bit heavier and trying to be careful warming up those tires. Especially on cold tires, this car can be extremely tricky. As you can see, he has a little bit of a moment there. Let's go back up to Augusto, because we're going to be starting lap 25, and he has still not pitted. Same for Alvarez and Hoekstra. It looks to me like Hoekstra is not going in just yet. Hoekstra behind Le Touvet. Le Touvet giving him the room. One of the rules that this league has adopted is that the blue flag definitely means you need to move over if you can safely do so. So I see most drivers so far abiding by that rule. Very, very good. Alvarez is in second position. He's 1.1 seconds behind Augusto. And these drivers, the top 4 drivers, still have to go and pit for tires and fuel. As I said earlier, the pit stop is mandatory. You cannot try to do this on one fuel stint. You probably wouldn't make it anyway. The race is too long for that. But even if you could, it is not allowed. So the top 4 drivers are the only ones that have not made their mandatory pit stop just yet. Augusto leading the race now, not having pitted just yet. Alvarez in second, Hoekstra in third, Moritz now in 4th position. Former leader Manuel Domingo in 5th position. His lap times are coming down. He's now running an 1:11.006, so those tires are starting to work for him. Fabio Do Carmo ran a 1:10.6, which is a pretty good time for mid-race on fresh tires and a full tank of fuel. Let's go see and find if we can find Fabio. There he is. Currently in 6th position. And checking back up here with Augusto. Has still not pitted. So this left-right combination here is pretty much flat out if you have your car set up right. And if you're not in dirty air between somebody else. And then this section here is a little tricky because it goes up and down. The elevation changes really take away some of your downforce on the ground. And it can be a little tricky to get on the gas too early there. Back by the main straight. Augusto starting lap 28. And still not in the pit. Same for Alvarez and Hoekstra. And I haven't seen Moritz in the pit either. So they're stretching that first stint, definitely. And that means their tires can't really be that bad. They can't have abused them that much if they can still run these lap times. They're all in the 1/10th, upper 1/10ths. All 4 first drivers are running 1/10th, 1 minute 10-second laps in the upper 110, but still 110. Those are good laps for tires that are 28 laps old. And even Danny Hoekstra is running the same kind of lap times, gaining back a little bit of what he lost there, it looks like. He's now 8.8 seconds behind Alvarez. So this is interesting. They must have started on a topped-off fuel tank and trying to stretch those tires as long as they can. And I can't say it's not working at all, although Danny Hoekstra may have had a few moments. There, Danny Hoekstra is going into the pits. Time for him to get some tires and fuel. Ooh, almost loses it there going into the pit. And meanwhile, Augusto, Alvarez, and Moritz are still staying out. Lap 28 for Hoekstra to get some rubber. There he goes. And Domingo has gone by, but that's pretty obvious. Domingo was well ahead in the lead. Do Carmo has gone by now, and it looks like Danny Hoekstra is rejoining the race in 6th position. Let's go back up here to Augusto, still leading the race. We are speaking lap 29 of 44, and he has yet to pit. 1.9 seconds behind him is Javier Alvarez. Also still has to pit, and the same goes for the number 3 position of Lubomir Moric still has to pit. And as you can tell on your screen on the left there, their last laps are still in the 110.6, 110.8. So, I mean, they're running very, very good lap times on tires that have run more laps than anybody else. So I would say that is a setup thing that's working for them. And we had somebody going into the pits there. I'm not sure who that was. Was that Alvarez? It looks like Alvarez is finally going to the pits. We are talking lap 30 right now. And obviously he'll be passed by Domingo. And I haven't seen Do Carmo yet. So he's rejoining in 4th position right on the tail of Manuel Domingo. So it'll be interesting to see once Augusto pits, where will he come out? Will he come out in front of Alvarez, right behind Domingo, or will he drop back behind Alvarez? That'll be interesting to see. Danny Hoekstra now behind Do Carmo in 6th position. And here we have Augusto coming into the pits. This will be at the start of lap 31. Moric, I don't see him. He did not go into the pits, so Moric will pick up the lead here. Augusto picking up in the pits for rubber and fuel. Moric picks up the lead. And let's see where Augusto will come out. Domingo on the main straight. Augusto leaving the pits right now. He will not stay in front of Domingo, but we didn't expect that. He will, however, stay in front of Alvarez. There he is. Alvarez is right there behind him. 1.4 seconds separating these guys. So, we are only awaiting Lubomir Moric's pit stop now, and then all drivers will have pitted, and they can finish the race on fuel and on tires. And Moric is now 11 seconds ahead of Domingo. That will not be enough to retain the lead once he does pit. So let's see when he comes in. There he is, Lubomir Moric. Let's see if he's going into the pits right now. Nope, he's adding another lap. He's adding another lap. That'll be lap 32 on the same set of tires and on one tank of fuel, so he must have started heavy. Manuel Domingo in 2nd position, and he has 2.7 seconds on Augusto in 3rd, Alvarez in 4th, Do Carmo in 5th, and Danny Hoekstra is in 6th position. So from fighting for 2nd place, unfortunately Hoekstra looks like he will be fighting for the 4th or 5th position now. He is looks like he is right behind Roland Johns, who is already 2 laps down. Roland makes way for Hoekstra, very good. And let's go back up to Moric here quickly. Still not pitted. See if he goes in this time. Beautiful race car, the number 66 car there. Domingo 11 seconds behind him. Augusto 3 seconds behind Domingo. There he goes. He's going into the pits right now. There he is. Moric taken to the pits on lap 32, going into 33. And it'll be interesting to see where he will rejoin the race. It looks like some back markers passing us by now. Domingo is not yet past us. Now he is. He's taken the lead. Augusto is taken 2nd, Alvarez 3rd. Moric is still in the pit. Can he bring it back in front of Hoekstra? Yes, I would think so. Well, it's going to be close. It looks like Hoekstra is going to take away that position from him side by side in turn 1 as Moric comes out of the pit lane. Hoekstra takes away 5th position from Lubomir Moric at this point. And approaching turn 5, and now obviously Hoekstra's tires are warmed up. Oh, he's got a little bit of a moment, saves it. Unbelievable, very, very close racing there. And it's Moric on fresh tires, trying to put pressure on Hoekstra into the corkscrew here. very close together. And as I said, Moritz is that's ambitious there, because cold tires, this car can be very tricky on cold tires. So Moritz is doing a great job hanging with Hoekstra there, who pitted 1 or 2 laps earlier. So those tires are probably back up to working temperature by now. Let's go take a look here at Le Touvet and Dave Guild. They are close together. Let's see if something we missed here. No, not really. So back up front, it's Manuel Domingo in first position. Oh, and he's having to avoid Dave Guild. And the same for Augusto. Oh boy, that's a mess. And it looks like Alvarez and DeCarmo are taking advantage of that. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Back it up a little bit. We are looking at Dave Guild, and Dave Guild touches Le Touvet, and the leaders are being blocked on the track. And, well, finally getting through there. Let's see how that turned out at the front end of the field. Domingo did get past. It looks like he is unscathed, but he lost a little bit of ground on his pursuance. Alvarez is now less than 2 seconds behind. DeCarmo brought up right back there to Alvarez and challenging for that position on the main straight. Going into turn 1, he takes away second position. DeCarmo back up front. As you recall, he dropped back to 12th position on lap 1. He's worked his way all the way back to second position. Alvarez now in third. And it's Augusto in fourth. And Hoekstra 8 seconds behind him in fifth. And he's got Moritz still to deal with. And unfortunately, Le Touvet and Guild caused a bit of a problem for the leaders there, but they're not giving up their race. They're still going at it, and it looks like Dave Guild is still challenging Le Touvet. Back up front, Domingo regaining some of that advantage that he had. Back over 2 seconds now. Fabio DeCarmo back in second position after a first lap incident. That is pretty amazing. He is being followed by Javier Alvarez and Reinaldo Augusto. Danny Hoekstra in fifth, Moritz in sixth, Le Touvet in seventh with Dave Guild right on his tail. Kevin T. Shine hanging on in ninth position. Bimar Ludovic in 10th, and Roland Jones closing out the running order in 11th position. He is being shown 2 laps down on the leaders. On the guy in front of him, I should say. I apologize. No, on the leaders. I apologize. I got mixed up here. All those numbers dancing in front of my screen. DeCarmo in the second position. He's got Alvarez and Augusto to worry about. It's pretty much a similar situation as we saw earlier with Hoekstra, Alvarez, and Augusto. And now DeCarmo has taken over that one of those positions, one of those roles, and they are fighting for the podium positions here. DeCarmo, the car you see in front there, going through the fast left and right hander. He is in second position, and he's got Alvarez and Augusto to worry about. Hoekstra fell back about 8 seconds from these guys. Oh, and it looks like DeCarmo has had a little bit of an issue there. Let's see what happens. Here he comes, and this is where the elevation changes can really catch you off guard. He loses it, and it looks like Alvarez takes over second position. Man, these guys are fighting hard for it. So Alvarez takes over second position there. Augusto now in fourth. DeCarmo in third. And still going strong at the front end of the field here, Manuel Domingo. We are talking lap 37. We're closing in on the final stages of this race. And it looks like Domingo has got things well under control, but the final podium positions, the 2 other podium positions, I should say, they are still up for grabs here. Alvarez, DeCarmo, and Augusto. DeCarmo running a little bit wide. Augusto, can he take advantage of that? Fast left, right. Towards the section where DeCarmo made his little mistake, going up the hill. And then when you get over that hump, the car becomes really light. So if you're too early on the throttle, it's very easy to lose the back end. And Do Carmo gave us a demonstration how that can cost you a position. But he's not giving up. He's challenging Alvarez for the second position. There they come down the main straight, going into lap 38, fighting for that final podium position. And it's Augusto in fourth, hanging with him. He wants to be on that rostrum. Hoekstra is now in fifth, still about 8 seconds. He's got similar pace to these guys, but we'll have to find out later why he fell back a little bit. It looks like he's got good pace. And he is being followed by Lubomir Moric, about a half a second between him. Patrick Letouvet and Dave Guild for 7th and 8th. Still hanging on there together. They look like they are having a fun race together. So back up to the second and third positions, Alvarez, Do Carmo, and Augusto. Still running closely together. Roland Johns by himself here. He's being shown 2 laps down on the leader. He's hanging in there in 11th. Ludovic in 10th. Had a few incidents, but he's still hanging on. Lubomir Moric closing in on Danny Hoekstra now, less than half a second. They will have Dave Guild and Letouvet to deal with, who are a lap down on him. They will be going 2 laps down on him. Hoekstra hanging on to 5th position there. Stay here with these guys for a few moments and see how they get to deal with the back markers. Back markers moving over. Letouvet is giving them room. Very good. Moric going after Hoekstra, also having to deal with Letouvet. Unfortunately, Letouvet is losing touch with Guild because of that. So maybe Guild will do the same thing and they'll be getting back together. Hoekstra in 5th, and Moric in 6th, and the car in front of him is Dave Guild. He's going to be put down another lap, and he's not just yet moving over. It's not easy to determine. There he goes. He lets by Hoekstra and Moric battling for 5th and 6th position. That's good sportsmanship. Meanwhile, at the front, it's still Manuel Domingo. Well out in front again, 3.5 seconds. He's restored that gap to what he had before. Second position, Javier Alvarez, right on his tail. He has got Fabio Do Carmo and Reinaldo Augusto. And it looks like they're stretching out a couple of car lengths between them now, but this is not over yet. We're talking lap 40 of 44, so we got 5 laps to go. This has not been run just yet. Go back here to Kevin Shine. He is still running in 9th position, shown 1 lap down from the leaders. He is running behind Patrick Letouvet and his teammate Dave Guild. Moric is still trying to catch up with Hoekstra here, and that's for 5th and 6th position. And it looks like Guild and Letouvet are hanging with these guys fairly good. Do Carmo shown 7/10 of a second behind Alvarez. That's for 2nd and 3rd position, the final podium positions. Alvarez has just run the quickest lap of the race. Last lap he ran a 1:10.046. That is the quickest lap of the race. So it looks like he's gaining a little bit on Domingo. And, you know, he might be thinking, might just be a few laps, but why not give it a shot? Domingo still in front. And Alvarez can see him not at every part of the track, but at some of the straight parts of the track, he can see him. And that's motivating. That's always motivating. 2.8. They're under 3 seconds apart now. Do Carmo and Augusto still following suit here for the podium positions on the main straightaway. going into lap 42 now. 3 more laps to go. Oh, and it looks like Moric has passed Hoekstra for 5th position. We can try and see if we can find out how this happened. Nope. I can't see what happened. But he did pass him for 5th position. And Danny Hoekstra now shown 3.5 seconds. So he might have had a little incident there. Ducarmo, 7/10 of a second behind Alvarez, and then Augusto with them there, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th positions. And it looks like Alvarez is gaining a little bit on Domingo there, 2.6 seconds now. It was 3.5 a few laps ago, and he is running good lap times. He ran the quickest lap, and his last lap was a 1:10.303. So he's trying. He's still trying hard. He's not giving up. He still smells that top spot on the podium. Ducarmo half a second behind him, and Augusto dropping back a little bit now for 4th position. Lubomir Moric worked his way back up to 5th position. Hoekstra now in 6th. And Domingo has started lap 43, so the next time by will be his final lap. 2.4 seconds. It looks like Alvarez is gaining on him. There they are. You can actually see them in the same shot here. So, yeah, Alvarez is trying. He's not done. He's given this his last wind. Ducarmo, 4/10 of a second behind him, and it looks like Augusto is not able to stick it with him there. These two guys are very close together now, and they are both gaining on the leader, Domingo. Domingo starting his final lap, lap 44 of 44. What can Alvarez still do? And what can Ducarmo still do? And what can Augusto still do? These guys are battling hard for the final podium positions. Little hiccup there. Oh, and Augusto is still, he's going for it. He's going for it. They are not giving up. It looks like Augusto ran a 1:99 on race pace. That's the quickest lap of the race, his last lap there. He is not giving up. He wants that podium position. There's your race leader, Manuel Domingo, heading towards the checkered flag. He is ready with this race. He is taking the win. Manuel Domingo, 1st position. And then behind him, it's Javier Alvarez. It's Fabio Ducarmo taking 3rd. And it's Augusto in 4th position. Then we have to wait a little bit for Lubomir Moric. He's going to bring it home in 5th. And then we have Danny Hoekstra coming out of the last turn. He's bringing it home in 6th position. And Dave Guild taking a spin on one of the. I'm sorry, that's turn 1. He's already finished. He's a lap down. Letouvet is in 8th. Kevin Shine is in 9th. Ludovic in 10th, and Roland Johns brings it home in 11th position. The first race for the eFormulaSeries is in the books. We will be right back with a few interviews, hopefully with the top 3 finishers. Oh, hi. What's your name?
My name is Marsha.
Hi, Marcia. I almost erased you. I was going to draw a car.
I love cars.
You do? But you're a...
A girl? Whoever made the rule that girls can't like cars?
Well, I don't know.
I want to be a racing driver.
A racing driver? Well, we can make that happen.
Blonde Bullet. A comic book about a young woman trying to get started in racing. Now available on Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
And we're back here at Barber Motorsports Park. It's been a great race, the first race of eFormulaSeries. We have seen Manuel Domingo win it. The second position is for Javier Alvarez, and the third position for Fabio Do Carmo. Unfortunately, Do Carmo has, I don't see him available. So let's go take a look and see if we can talk to Javier. Javier, this is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Hey man, we've been looking at your race with fascination. It looked like the pace was extremely fast. You've been leading, or you've been fighting in that second group pretty much all race long. Can you take us through how your race went for you?
Okay, yeah. Well, I saw that Fabio and Manuel had a very good lap on qualifying. So I was waiting for a fight between Reynaldo and Danny because it's very difficult to overtake. So I was patient. I thought I had more pace to overtake, but it was almost impossible. Then Reynaldo overtook Danny, and I thought, okay, this is the opportunity.
Yeah.
And that was the race. Then I saw Fabio was coming from 8 seconds behind. The gap was because he was very fast. So I tried to not fight with him. I let him pass. Let's say that. And but he made a mistake in this one lap later, and I couldn't let him another pass another time. So I decided to push as a hell.
Yeah, and it looked like to me, Javier, that in the last few laps, it looked like you ran a fastest lap there, and you got yourself into 1:10.046 pretty much at the end of the race, and it looked like you were gaining on Manuel Domingo. Were you still pushing to see if you could catch Manuel Domingo?
No, I mean, I was trying to build a gap with Fabio, and my tactic was to slow down in the slow turns, so I have a better.
Are you still there, Javier? Too bad. I think we lost Javier Alvarez here talking about how we got the second position. It looked like after he finally passed Do Carmo for that second position, he was looks like there's something wrong on my end here. We are experiencing a little technical glitch here. So it looks like I lost my TeamSpeak connection. Give me just a second. Let's see if I can get this sorted out here. Okay, they're telling me that the connection is coming back up. They had a little server problem with the TeamSpeak there. And it looks like there we are.
Perdido la conexión.
Hey Javier, I lost you there for a
Ah,
little
sorry.
bit. There was a server issue. You were just explaining to me that the final laps you really were kind of pushing hard just in defense of Docam or of Docam. What's his name? I can't even talk
Yeah,
anymore.
Fabio Do Carmo. Yeah.
Yeah. You were basically not trying to pursue Domingo, but you were defending towards Ducarmo. That's where we left off, and I lost you there. So go ahead and try to finish that for us if you can.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. The only thing I wanted is to make my life easier, so trying to get good exits from the slow turns, and at the same time, this complicated a little bit the life of Fabio Do Carmo because Reinaldo was there.
Yeah, I mean, for second, third, and fourth, it was close all the time. In the beginning of the race, it was you guys and Hoekstra, and then when Hoekstra fell back, Do Carmo took over gladly, I would say. All right, Javier, we really enjoyed your racing there. We saw some really close and respectful racing. We really hope that this first eFormula Series race was fun for you too. And let's finish off and give you an opportunity to say some thank yous and love yous to the people that have been watching, maybe.
Yeah, of course. Thank you to the audience and thank you guys for the broadcast. Also, thank you to my team. Lubomir had better pace than me, but the press lap was crazy. So thank you, everybody. I should say that I made the translation to Manuel Domingo. You want to interview him?
Okay, thank you very much, Javier, and we hope to see you next time.
Thank you.
Manuel, this is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me?
Hi guys, sorry, no English. Traductor Javier Alvarez, please.
Okay, I don't speak Spanish or your language, but if you want to talk us through your race in your own language, that's fine, sir.
I'm sorry, no English.
So it looked to me like you were pretty much in control in the holes. Did you ever feel that you were in trouble? Oh, it looks like we have a bit of a language barrier here.
Please, Javier Alvarez, traductor Spanish, English, please.
Unfortunately, my Spanish is not very good. I don't speak enough Spanish to interview you this way.
English, Spanish, Spanish, English.
Oh yeah,
Javier Alvarez.
if you want to talk to me in Spanish, that's fine. I was just asking how were you in control most of the race, or was there ever a time that you felt being in trouble? I'm afraid that the Manuel is not with us anymore. Well, we enjoyed his race. He was on top of things. He looked like he was in control. So we'll leave it at that. So this concludes the first race of the eFormula Series, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Check out eFormulaSeries.net for the schedule, and we will be back with more racing action from this great new series featuring the Formula Renault 3.5 in 3 weeks. Normally we are every other week, but because of the 24 Hours of Le Mans next week, we are going to skip one week, and we'll be back in 3 weeks from today. So this has been Blipshift Broadcasting. My name is Mark. Signing off for today. Thank you very much for your attention, and we hope to see you next time.